welcome to DieCastRestos. I'm Jason and this is the 41C Ford GT. The GT joined the Matchbox series in 1966 and lasted into the Superfast era all the way through to 1979. Designer and creator Jack O'Dell described the GT as the best-selling miniature of all time. I have two examples of this model, one in slightly better condition than the other. The better condition one has a sticker on the front rather than the traditional tampo. Between them they have 4 tyres, so I'll need a set of new tyres and also a set of new decals as well. First issues were white with a red interior and red hubs. These were later changed to yellow, as in these models here. It has a detailed engine casting which sits over the rear wheels. As it does so, there is only suspension at the front end. This is formed as part of the interior. An early issue of the model was painted in yellow with the number 6 still attached in blue. And rare factory errors saw the stickers placed upside down, reading 9 instead, but higher up on the car. The lighter blue stickers indicate a later issue. Extremely rare variants of the model, possibly pre-production, utilise the wire wheels which you see in the 75B Ferrari Berlinetta, which I've already restored, and a few other models as well. There were numerous changes once the model became Superfast ahead of Christmas 1969. I won't go into too many details about this and just solely focus on the 1 to 75 range, as these are the ones that I'll be restoring today. The casting was modelled on the Ford GT40. Obviously it's well known that the GT40 stands for Grand Touring and the 40 represents the 40 inches in height. A British built and designed race car entirely conceived out of the spite of Henry Ford II. It's a massively intriguing story that I'll quickly summarise. After hearing word that Enzo Ferrari was purportedly interested in selling Ferrari to the Ford Motor Company in 1963, Henry Ford entered negotiations with Ferrari, but the deal fell through at a late stage after Enzo Ferrari was angered at not being allowed to continue to operate Ferrari Motor Racing Division and would not be allowed to enter into the Indy 500. I'm just going to shut up for a moment to listen to the bubbling of the caustic soda. Enzo pulled out of the deal and, enraged, Henry Ford demanded a car be built solely to defeat Ferrari in endurance racing. So the GT40 was built and first entered into endurance racing in 1964, but its most notable success came in 1966. Mark II GT40s came first, second and third at the 24 Hours of Daytona, and then again first, second, third at the 12 Hours of Sebring. Now's a good time to appreciate the casting. Very subtle details, you can't really see them all that well with the paint on, but they look really good in the primer. In this badly framed shot I am applying the Tamiya TS26 Pure White to the model. With Kiwi drivers Bruce McLaren and Chris Amon at the wheel of the 7-litre V8 GT40, albeit in controversial fashion with Henry Ford watching on, Ford took another 1-2-3 finish at the 24 Hours of Le Mans. Ford had arranged for the top 2 cars of McLaren and Amon and fellow New Zealander Denny Hulme and Englishman Ken Miles to cross the line at the same time. But Miles slowed before the finish line, unhappy that the overall win would be handed to the other car. The decision had come after Ford executives had been told by race organisers that the car that travelled a greater distance would be awarded the win, as was the case with McLaren and Amon. As such, they were declared the winners. It's worth noting that no Ferrari prototype would go on to complete the race, and as such, Ford got his way eventually. All tyres, new and old, got a coat of the Citadel Gloss Nuln Oil. The GT40 would go on to have more success, but the famous 1966 event was well documented, such as in the 2016 documentary The 24 Hour War, and upcoming 2019 film Ford vs Ferrari, which will also be called Le Mans 66 in some territories. 105 original GT40s were produced between 1964 and 1969. The legacy of the GT40 is that it provided the basis for the 2004 to 2006 production model of the Ford GT. The following generation was also based on this, in production from 2016 until the time of recording. After applying the transfers, here I'm applying some Mr. Mark Softer to the model to seal in that transfer. Now I'm just going to tap the hubs back onto the axles, and then I can use the paint from a chrome paint pen to touch up the ends of those axles. Now I'll begin the reassembly. In goes the polished up windscreen. That will clip back over the rivet post in the roof. Here's the detailed engine components. This has been brushed up with a wire wheel, and the interior clips in just behind this, and you can see the suspension forks for the front wheels here as well. I can place the base back onto the model and reattach the screws. And with that, that's another model complete. So, as an aside from story time, as this episode has turned out to be, here's the model I started off with. Very scratched up, missing the transfer and a lot of paint, missing a tyre as well. It looks like this model has been very well played with. These GTs, of course, would have been very well played with, being one of the more popular models from the range. I don't know if anyone watching would have the production figures for this model, but it'd be interesting to see quite how many they actually produced for Jack O'Dell to make that very bold claim that it's the most popular miniature of all time. And so here is the final result. The new transfer is sitting proudly in the middle of the model. It got a coat of the TS26 Tamiya white. Those tyres are nice and black and shiny. You can clearly see the engine through the windscreen, which has been cleaned up. The ends of axle has been painted up as well. This one's been a good honest restoration. I'd just like to take a moment to thank my Patreon supporters and thank those who subscribe. If you don't, please do. Please like and comment on the videos. Your feedback is always welcome. Constructive criticism is always taken on board. But all that leaves me to say is thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again for the next one. Bye for now.